See? We're playing Christian music. We're the good guys. You are witnessing the birth of an empire.
And what is that?
Well, what it is we're talking about turning the wheel of Dharma.
I would say from experience, what makes Theravada Buddhism really so advanced is that you're not supposed to write on the walls. And so the Buddha tells people to meditate in these empty huts. Well, writing on the wall, that's been going on for like ever, you know? Like the way that people put, you know, paintings and pictures up on their walls and stuff. Well, you know, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, this is the way that people did things. You know, when you're in a tent, you know, when you're in your teepee, you know, and you got writing on the insides of it, or the walls of caves and stuff like that. People have been writing on objects since like forever, as far back as we know. Now, I don't know how far back it goes, you know, before you have a certain point, like, well, were the beings who built the pyramids, were they writing on the walls? Well, maybe not. Maybe maybe their minds work differently. But it takes a certain kind of person to, you know, dwell in a habitat and not write on the wall. Because it really, so I guess psychologically, the way that the mind extends into the environment, called the extended mind account, in a paper by Chalmers and Clark, I think it's from the late 90s or something. But the extended mind, so the mind goes out into the world. You know, when I have an idea and I pick up a pen and a piece of paper and I start writing, the idea proliferates into something that it could not have become if I were to just sit around thinking about it. You see what I'm saying? So I bring in my muscles and I start using these tools, right? And writing on the wall, this is like the most primitive version of that, or this is where it started. It's not primitive. Well, it's clear, primitive, yeah, but not in a pejorative sense. People do it now. You know, people have marker boards. You know, you write on it and you erase it, right? And people have wallpaper and pictures and paintings and stuff all on the walls, you know. And the thing is, it's you know, you tried going without that. And you tell me what it's like in your mind when you don't, if you, maybe it says something about the places you're going to end up and the kinds of things that you do if you're the kind of person who needs to write stuff down. That might say something about how you could understand or think about your own behavior and where you belong and where you don't. But Theravada Buddhism seems to be rather, it advances a kind of mind of a person that is not writing on the walls, you see. And you're not really, I once encountered this, a saying, do not grasp at any artifice. And that's from a Buddhist teacher, I think a recent Buddhist teacher, a Tibetan teacher, but do not grasp at any artifice. So a person should understand what happens when you grasp at an artifice or a tool or this man-made thing. You can make it an artifice too. See, so you could not grasp at an artifice, which is not grasp at a tool, and then your mind doesn't extend. It doesn't extend. Now, a person has to understand what that's like. Okay, now the lotus pose, when you sit left foot over right thigh, right foot over left thigh, the perceptual field, the prediscursive perceptual field, which I refer to it as, it concentrates into the upper body. Okay, it concentrates into the upper body. And if you are in a wheelchair, like if you sit in a wheelchair, you notice that if you use a wheelchair to actually work out, it actually uses your entire body. Go around in a circle, okay, in the wheelchair, sit in the wheelchair, and go around the circle and go as fast as you can. Now you'll notice that when you start to go as fast as you can, you'll notice that the muscles in your legs are twitching. There's actually activity going on, as long as you're not actually using it because you're paralyzed from the waist down or something like that. If you're an able-bodied person using it for exercise, the entire body is actually brought into use. The abdominal region and the legs are still being used in the wheelchair when you're using it. And that shows right there how a person is really trying to extend and use everything that is possibly at their disposal. You see, because if you're in the wheelchair, you have to consciously, you don't even consciously think about it. Your legs and your abdominal muscles, they just start to move. Even though, really, look, people in wheelchairs can't move their legs at all and they still get around. So they're not using the muscles in their legs to the way that you're doing it. Okay, but you don't even think about it. It's an immediate thing, it happens. And so the discipline to dwell in an empty hut is to keep reeling this in. Okay, it's a habit and it's been going on for a long time. Well, that's not good. So it's been happening for a while. Yeah, and you have to realize that it is this very impulsive, it's almost called, I would think at this point it's basically natural. We would call it natural. this is natural. It's not like, well, this is how the world works, And then so, of course, being a renunciate, renouncing, being, a recluse is going to be completely different if that's what you're doing. But you notice that there are people who actually do already have a mindset like that, like Donald Trump or other businessmen. They don't have any of the stuff. That's just it. If they were, they are experiencing a mental world about what appears to be acquisition of things. Well, does it appear that they're acquiring things? I don't really think that they are. If a person is worth $100 billion, Elon Musk is a testament to what $100 billion can do, right? But it doesn't look to me like when people say that, when a person is worth so much money, are they actually, do you see anything that translates over to $100 billion worth of goods and services or something? I don't think that it really does, especially when you consider, somebody, a business person or in Donald Trump's case, he became the president, they're traveling a lot. They're in different places really fast. Right, they fly there, and it doesn't look like anybody really has anything here, and that's a really important mentality. But then what is monasticism? What is being a recluse? Donald Trump's not writing on the walls either, right? And what does that mean? Because you go into some sort of mental institution and you start writing on the walls and shit. That's like a stereotype. Right? So the guy who writes on the walls is a lunatic. But it's completely normal, right? But then you also consider we have these different roles in our civilization. Like children write on walls. Okay, grown persons don't write on walls. Children do. And children can do it. But if you're a grown person, you don't write on the wall. Well, what if you're a professor? Well, then you can write on the wall. It's called writing on the marker board or the blackboard. And so you're descending into a level of insanity in order to teach people who are apparently lunatics. Have you seen some of these people at the parties and such? And so what it amounts to, in basically conclusion, is that it's about how you eyeball things. And eyeballing things is not just a visual thing. Eyeballing things is actually, it is a movement that happens in the prediscursive perceptual field. Eyeballing things. No, it's a physical thing. Like the way people can feel you staring, right? Or the way that you move your eyes around. Look, they know you're trying to steal something. Okay, everybody knows. Everybody in the store knows you're trying to steal something, right? And so, eyeballing things is something that you get your throat slit for something like that. You ever seen Stand By Me? Yeah.